Alright guys, after trading for Mark Williams, what more if anything do the Lakers need? They've now filled their need at center, going out and trading for Mark Williams, giving up a kind of controversial trade package while doing it, trading Dalton Knecht, an unprotected first-round draft pick, their only tradable first-round draft pick they had left, one first-round draft pick swap, and Cam Reddish for him. I think it was worth it, definitely a bit controversial, and I will miss Dalton Knecht, but with how badly they did need a center, and more center depth in general, only having Jackson Hayes prior to making that trade, I think it was worth it for them. Again, will miss Dalton Knecht, and now that kind of did open up a slight need for them at shooting guard, kind of on the wing in general, between trading him and Max Christie. They do have a slight need for a shooting guard and a wing in general. And with that being said here, should they go out and make one more trade, and can they go out and make one more trade? Do they have the assets for it? Should they trade any of their current rotation, and would it be worth it? Well, one pathway they have to doing that would be trading Maxi Kleber, a guy they got back in the Luka Doncic trade, and a guy that's currently hurt for their team, so he really can't help them. And yes, they would be allowed to trade him. They can combine him through a trade with another player. He currently has an aggregation restriction, aka you can only trade him alone through a trade, but they would be allowed to do that. And with one second-round draft pick left, a future first-round draft pick swap left, actually two of them, they theoretically could trade him and attach an asset with him to get back an asset and potentially a good player, someone they might need at shooting guard or small forward, in return for Maxi Kleber. And well, we're going to explore that. We'll look at a few trades that would be possible in doing that, both realistic trades, trades they can make prior to the trade deadline, and talk about how it might be a possibility for them. But before we get too far into it, let's go over our game day picks with Underdog Fantasy, the best way to get in on the NBA action this season. And if you're a new sign-up, you can pick Travis Kelce to have higher than 0.5 yards on Sunday night. And then for my picks, for pick number 1, I got LeBron having higher than 1.5 3-point shots tonight. Pretty much always plays well against Golden State and definitely will be out there firing again tonight too. Then for pick number 2, I got Austin Reeves having higher than 4.5 rebounds. He's now had that in 5 straight games, so I think he will again tonight. Then for my third and final pick, I got Kawhi Leonard having higher than 1.5 assists. So if you want to follow along with me, or make your own picks, then be sure to check out Underdog Fantasy, and don't forget to use code JSM to get your free pick, plus up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you make a deposit. But now getting back to our topic, and again, with the Maxi Kleber trade, they would have to attach a draft asset with him, whether that be their second round draft pick, their only one left, or a first round draft pick swap, as they no longer have any tradable first round draft picks. They would have to do that, but it would be a possibility for them. And for trade number 1, we're going to head over to Washington and offer Maxi Kleber with one more first round draft pick swap for a guy like Corey Kispert. They have a good trade relationship with Washington and have made multiple trades with them in the past few years, so I think this would be an option for them. Maybe they would, maybe they wouldn't trade Corey Kispert, but I definitely ask about him. Is a shooting guard, small forward kind of hybrid, can play at either of them. Is a very good 3-point shooter, already a 38.2% career 3-point shooter. Definitely a great catch and shoot guy, a little bit of a movement shooter, and all around a versatile offensive player in general. Averaging about 11.5 points per game this season, 3 rebounds per game, 1.5 assists per game, and with a slightly underwhelming 35.3% from 3, but is coming off a year of shooting 38.3%, 42.4% before that one, and again, is a 38% career 3-point shooter. And I think he would be a sneaky, under the radar kind of guy to target. Not many people talk about him, not many people know him, but a very good and talented offensive player. Not a defensive liability despite not being a great defender, but only 25 years old on top of it, does have room for improvement, and I think you'd fit their new timeline. You know, adding a 23-year-old like Mark Williams, a 25-year-old like Luka Doncic, already having a pretty young core despite LeBron being now 40, apart from him having a young core, and I think Corey Kispert would be a good addition to it. But then for trade number 2, we're going to head to Charlotte and try to make a trade for Cody Martin, a guy I've talked about before, and despite kind of preferring Josh Green lately, they can make a trade for him here. They can take back money through a trade, and trading only Maxi Kleber would take back about $1.4 million in a trade for Josh Green, so they would not be allowed to do that. They could instead trade for either Josh Okogie or Cody Martin, and I would pick Cody Martin here. And for Cody Martin, maybe not the best 3-point shooter, does happen to be about a 31% career 3-point shooter, currently is shooting about 32.3% from 3 this season, but is a fairly good corner 3-point shooter. shot about 38% between 2021 and 2024, and about 36.1% since 2021, so some reliability there, albeit corner 3-point shooting, and has shown some reliability in general too. But then for defense, definitely his number one trait and number one skill on the court. Very good defender, good point of attack defender, good wing defender, fairly versatile defender, and all around a very committed defender too. This season, he had the highest defensive box plus minus rating on the Charlotte Hornets, currently having about a plus 1.2 rating, and that's very good for a guard and wing defender, especially on a bad defensive team, so very impressive for Cody Martin. I think he'd be a great addition to their team. After trading away Cam Reddish and Dalton Knecht, he would kind of fill in that 2-3 spot for them and be some really good depth behind Austin Reeves and Jared Vanderbilt, whoever you want to put ahead of him, and overall would give them some great depth and a guy they definitely could rely on, especially more than a guy like Shake Milton or Bronny James for that fact. Then for my third and final trade though, here we're going to head to Chicago and offer Maxi Kleber and at least one first-round draft pick swap, probably two of them to have to get him, for Dosunmu. And this kind of be the dream trade target here, kind of the last big trade to make, and maybe a little bit of wishful thinking here, but then again you never know what the trades they've made lately. I mean, neither Mark Williams or Luka Doncic were available, so I think Dosunmu is more realistic than them. And for this season, averaging about 12.5 points per game, 4 rebounds per game, 5 assists per game, a new career high for him, and 4.7 assists per game to only 1.3 turnovers per game, showing some good point guard potential, point guard ability, so he would offer them both wing depth, shooting guard depth, and some point guard depth too. Is a fairly big guard, 6'5", 200 pounds with a good wingspan, giving them offensive and defensive versatility, can defend positions 1 through 3, can play point guard, can play shooting guard and small forward, both defensively and offensively, is a fairly good 3-point shooter, about 35% this season but 40.3% last season. Like I mentioned, can be a point guard offering good playmaking ability, can defend positions 1 through 3, all around is a versatile player and would be some really good backcourt depth for their team. I'd definitely be all in for it. I mean, giving up 2 more first-round draft pick swaps would be quite a bit here. After that point, they'd only have about 2 or 3 tradable draft picks left in general, and that would be pretty bare minimum for them. But for a guy like Dosunmu, that might be worth it and would kind of be the final piece of their team if you'd even call it that. I think they have a great team regardless, with or without another trade or with or without another addition in general. If they would go that route though, I'd definitely be open to a guy like Dosunmu, Cody Martin, or Corey Kispert, all of which be great additions to their team and for any team for that fact, and I think would fill their current need if you would call it that again. But with that being said, what do you guys think? How do you feel about trading Maxi Kleber and that salary, avoiding having to trade a guy like Rui Hachimura or Gabe Vincent, and making one more final addition to their team? Do you think they need it? Do you think they should do it? Or simply stay put and not make any more moves? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. But I think that'll pretty much do it for this one, and if you enjoyed the video, then I'll greatly appreciate it if you dropped a like, subscribe to the channel if you have not already, and hit that notification bell to never miss out when I upload a video. But as always, thank you for watching and have a great day.